सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांति। ओम नमो ब्रह्मादिभ्यो ब्रह्म विद्या संप्रदाय कर्तृभ्यो वंश ऋषिभ्यो महद्भ्यो नमो गुरुभ्यः। ओम ओम नमः प्रणवार्थाय शुद्धज्ञानैकमूर्तये निर्मलाय प्रशान्ताय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। ओम यैरिमे गुरुवे पूर्वं पदवाक्यप्रमाणतः व्याख्याताः सर्ववेदान्ताः तान् नित्यं प्रणतोऽस्म्यहम्। ओम श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। ओम समस्त ब्रह्म विद्याचार्येभ्यो ऋषिभ्यो मुनिभ्यो गुरुभ्यो नमः। मंडूकमहर्षये गौडपादाचार्यवर्याय आद्य शंकर सद्गुरवे अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः। ओम अथ अथर्ववेदान्तर्गत माण्डूक्य उपनिषत् पारायणम्। ओम भद्रं कर्णेभिः शृणुयाम देवाः भद्रं पश्येमाक्षभिर्यजत्राः स्थिरैरङ्गैस्तुष्टुवागंसस्तनूभिः व्यशेम देवहितं यदायुः। स्वस्ति न इन्द्रो वृद्धश्रवाः स्वस्ति नः पूषा विश्ववेदाः स्वस्ति नस्तार्क्ष्यो अरिष्टनेमिः स्वस्ति नो बृहस्पतिर्दधातु। ओम शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ओम ओमित्येतदक्षरमिदगं सर्वं तस्योपव्याख्यानं भूतं भवद्भविष्यति सर्वमोङ्कार एव यच्चान्यत्रिकालातीतं तदप्योङ्कार एव सर्वं हि एतद् ब्रह्म अयमात्मा ब्रह्म सोऽयमात्मा चतुष्पात् जागरितस्थानः बहिष्प्रज्ञः सप्ताङ्गः एकोनविंशतिमुखः स्थूलभुग्वैश्वानरः प्रथमपादः स्वप्नस्थानः अन्तःप्रज्ञः सप्ताङ्गः एकोनविंशतिमुखः प्रविविक्तभुक् तैजसः द्वितीयपादः यत्र सुप्तो न कञ्चन कामं कामयते न कञ्चन स्वप्नं पश्यति तत् सुषुप्तं सुषुप्तस्थानः एकीभूतः प्रज्ञानगण एव आनन्दमयो हि आनन्दभुक् चेतोमुखः प्राज्ञः तृतीयपादः एष सर्वेश्वरः एष सर्वज्ञः एषोऽन्तर्यामी एष योनिः सर्वस्य प्रभवाप्यौ हि भूतानां नान्तप्रज्ञं न बहिष्प्रज्ञं नोभयतप्रज्ञं न प्रज्ञानघनं न प्रज्ञं नाप्रज्ञम् अदृष्टमव्यवहार्यमग्राह्यमलक्षणम् अचिन्त्यम् अव्यपदेश्यम् एकात्मप्रत्ययसारं प्रपञ्चोपशमं शान्तं शिवमद्वैतं चतुर्थं मन्यन्ते स आत्मा स विज्ञेयः। सोऽयमात्मा आदि अक्षरम् ओङ्कारः आदिमात्रं पादामात्राश्च मात्रा पादाश्च अकार उकारो मकार इति जागरितस्थानः वैश्वानरः अकारः प्रथमा मात्रा आप्तेः आदिमत्वाद्वा आप्नोति ह वै सर्वान् कामान् आदिश्च भवति य एवं वेद। स्वप्नस्थानः तैजसः उकारः तृतीया मात्रा उत्कर्षादुभयत्वाद्वा उत्कर्षति ह वै ज्ञानसन्ततिं समानश्च भवति न अस्य ब्रह्मवित्कुले भवति य एवं वेद। सुषुप्तस्थानः प्राज्ञः मकारः तृतीया मात्रा मितेः अपितेः वा विनोते वा इदगं सर्वमपि तिष्ठ भवति य एवं वेद। अमात्रः चतुर्थः व्यवसार्यः प्रपञ्चोपशमः शिवः अद्वैतः एवम् ओङ्कारः आत्मा एव संविशत्यात्मनात्मानं य एवं वेद य एवं वेद। ओम शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः। ओम अथ अलाथ शान्त्याख्यं चतुर्थप्रकरणम्। ओम नारायण। ओम अजय साम्ये तु एकेचित् भविष्यन्ति सुनिश्चिताः ते हि लोके महाज्ञानाः तच्च लोको न गाह्यते। अजेष्वजम् असङ्क्रान्तं धर्मेषु ज्ञानमिष्यते यतो न क्रमते ज्ञानम् असङ्गं तेन कीर्तितम्। अणुमात्रेऽपि वैधर्म्ये जायमाने विपश्चितः असङ्गता सदा नास्ति किमुदावरणच्युतिः। Salutations to the entire Rishi Muni Guru Devata Parampara, also to our own Guru Parampara, and also to the Mandukya Upanishad Guru Parampara. Let us salute also our Lord, the Ishta Devata. Let us salute the Parabrahma Tattvam itself. Let us salute Shruti Mata. What is one common quality that has to be there for success? both in spiritual life as well as in the outer worldly life, is the quality of being aware. The more we develop this ability to be aware about, the more we would be avoiding the pitfalls or the negativities or the wrongdoings, and the more we'll be able to do the right things towards our goal. Therefore, as much as possible, the level of our awareness should increase to such an extent that every moment we are aware of what we are going to do and what is the result of that, or what I have to get, therefore, for that, what I must do at this moment. In this absolute awareness, with the knowledge, obviously, of all the goal and means gained through the study of Shastra, step by step, when we fully involve, we don't even have to worry about the Kala time also. We need not worry about when will I reach the goal and all, because when and where and how and what are the things bother us when we are aware about the Desha Kala Vastu. When our entire attention is on the path towards the goal, there is not even little of the mind or awareness is left for being worried about these things. Therefore, we will not even worry about them. We don't even become aware of those things. And it may take 1 minute time, it may take 1 billion years. It has no matter, no bother in it at all. With full awareness, if one is involving in that, that itself takes him. And then at the highest level, the awareness level is increased so much that other than awareness, there is nothing more. That pure awareness, that pure awareness, which has neither become Jiva Jagadishwara Bheda, which has neither become the Gnatru Gnana Gneya Bheda, which has never become the Vishwatayasa Prajna, which has never got involved into the Maya Kruta Triguna, and because of which the three Prakriyas of Sushti Sthilaya, none of these things are there. Into that pure awareness we enter. That is our essential nature. Like the pot maker, knowing the essential nature of every pot as the mud, keeping that in mind, that mud only he uses, makes the pots. His prakriya of making pots is going on. But heart in heart, he knows the truth and the reality is mud and mud and mud alone. In the same way, in the highest awareness level, having discovered that no thing is real other than the awareness, established in the experience of that awareness as oneself, like the pot maker or the goldsmith, whatever the pots have to be made, etc., they are made. The ornaments have to be made, they are made. They are in the interest of the world for the sake of serving the world. In the same way, the Jnani who is established in the Shuddha Chaitanya Jnanam would be expressing himself like this. So, in that awareness only, as we are discussing the topic, the awareness regarding which gunas are predominant in me, the awareness regarding which way my mind is continuously engaged in, the awareness regarding, therefore, moment by moment, what are the sankalpas, what are the attitudes, what are the activities that are expressing through me, and are these leading towards the jnanam or the tattvam, or are they going away from the jnanam or tattvam? Becoming aware of that, then one by one of these things which are samsara causing, we have to eliminate, and one by one those things which take us to the Paramatma truth or reality, we have to involve in or inculcate. That awareful effort of this way, disregarding or discarding the anatma, regarding and respecting the atma vastu, is called as sadhana. But if one has to involve in this sadhana so deeply, sincerely, listen, the outer and inner distractions or forces should not be there which take away him from this path. And what are the outer and inner distractions which are taking away us from this path? Are our own outer attractions and our own inner impulses. Now you understand what is the need of. Through Viveka and Vairagya, we have to keep away the outer and inner distractions. Then only the so far mentioned sadhana of the fully attention about our own goal or about our awareness, we can go on developing. That is why Adhyatmikta means understanding about everything. Adhyatmikta means very full application of ourselves. Understand our Adhyatmik sadhana means involving in all sadhanas that are required. At like today's my mind is full of Rajasic mood. Today my sadhana will be different to take it to Sattvic level. If it is already in Sattvika, then the thing to be done is different. Sadhana kala we are saying. If it is in Tamoguna, then how to bring it to Rajoguna? That is the sadhana. Having done this for so many, maybe years or lives, when I'm consistently able to maintain my antakarna in only Sattva to such person, the Shravana becomes so pakka that he gets a clarity as well as he will have even retention also of whatever he has heard. To such one alone, the undisturbed manana is possible. The one who has reached to a level of Sattva all the time. And to the one who is able to do the manana, what is manana? Just for example, any shloka you take. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Saviryangaravavahai. Anybody will chant it. A child will chant, a old man will chant, a youngster will chant, a parrot will chant, a tape record will chant. But having learned that mantra, when I am pondering on the meaning of every word, and if in this every word, if there is a prayer, expressing prayer, if there is an action to be done, action is done. If there is an attitudinal change, change of attitude. If there is an understanding, understand. If we do that, that's called as manana. Om Sahanam Avatu means what? May the Lord bless or protect both me and the Guru Parampara, me and the Shruti Mata, me and the audience. That thought coming at the time of that chanting is manana. Every time it should come. It's not understanding at one time. Every time when we chant, that understanding should bring that required bhavana there. In that attitude, naturally, when we keep on doing that becomes such a powerful prayer or chanting that actually we see that we are doing it, the prayer, and we also see that from that side the Lord is reciprocating. One example we give. In the same way of all the Upanishadic mantras, Mananam when we enter into anything Om Jata Vedase Sunavama Somam Amarati Yato Nidahati Vedaha. Oh Mother, I am worshipping you, invoking you, offering you the Somarasa in a best manner, so that you burn away all the knowledges which are actually ignorances, the knowledge of the Triputi, which are obstructing the pure awareness. Sanaha Parshadati Durgani Vishwa Nava Ivu Sundu Naveva Sindhum Durita Ati Agni. Oh Mother, you are the one like the Nama to me to cross over this samsara sagara. You are the fire, you can burn down all this. Like that, we should slowly learn the art. So, first awareness, second is application of awareness. In that, every moment what is happening, then every moment what is to be done, in that what is to be removed and what is to be inculcated, and in that again the Shravanam of the Tattva Shastras, and in that the Manana of the Tattva Shastra. When it goes on happening, then the intellectual conviction when it comes, then we try to experience that convinced thing on the seat of the निधिध्यासन. कन्विक्शन होने के बाद निधिध्यासनम होता है. निधिध्यासनम अनुभव में लेते, and the conviction comes because of the contemplation. Contemplation is preceded by the mananam, reflection. That is preceded by the listening. And the Shravanam we come to only when we have Viveka Vairagya, Shamadhi Shatka Sampada and Mumukshutva. Mumukshutva will come to us when we feel that we are in the field of bondage, with these upadhis in this world which is continuously changing. That alone gives the mumukshutva. That thinking to get the mumukshutva will come when through Shamadamadi we have controlled our indriyas and mana and all other inner outer activities. And that will happen only when we have sufficient pause from indulging in the world called as Vairagya. And all that starts with the Viveka. And nowhere we get the Viveka in the entire world except in the Satsanga in front of a learned guru when he with the basics of support of Shastra and Shastra mantra, Shastra logic, Shastra given past stories, Shastra given examples, when that guru in the class awakens our sleeping intellect and initiates us into the first step of starting to think or contemplate, inquire, that is called as Vivek. Binu satsanga vivekana hoi. Only in satsanga there is a vivek. In the non-satsanga, you will have plenty of viveka, but not the mukti giving atmanatha viveka, but you only have the viveka of what thing to eat, what not to eat, whom to meet, what. It's all samsaric. That will help there, but not here. We all have the buddhi. It has to be used for viveka. All of us use buddhi for viveka, but that is in the samsara. All of us are not using our viveka for the sadhana. In the adhyatmic sadhana, we have to awaken our viveka shakti. Every moment, where do I stand today? At my identities level, at my habits level. Is it not? Then what to change? How to change? This is called tapana. That tapana of all levels to mold myself toward the Bhagwan is called tapasya. In the tapasya, as we said, viveka vairakyakam, indriya mana buddhi nigraha yukta shamadabadikam, struggling to go and sit in the class without sleeping, that also is tapasya. Trying to listen every sentence, that also is tapasya. Trying to contemplate, correlate and understand and catch the gist, ये भी तपस्या है. Everywhere the tapa when you are doing, then from the pata we are protected. Pata means to fall. In that tapa or tadap only, the genius in us of all equipments becomes so perfect and so useful. That's what we mentioned 10 minutes back. That the sattva guna comes, that is utilized, and that deeply does the inquiry in which really what said by Shastra about Mithyatva of the Jagat is convinced, Satyatva of the Brahma is convinced, and then how to detach through Yatireka sadhana from the Mithya Jagat and Upadhi, and how to identify with the Anvaya sadhana of the self. All of that will come with that perfectly purified equipment out of this tapasya. This is so for everyone. So may we all that way become a tapasvins, be in that full awareness of what we have to do, what we have to avoid. And being in that way mood always, may we come to the expectation level of all the Rishi and Muni and all our Guru and Bhagwan. May we not leave this path, may we not get back into our earlier worldly life of samsara, etc. Now, this is the introduction today given. Maybe today, tomorrow, day after, we'll have 2-3 days only of our this Mandukyam. Then we will enter into our Taittiriya Upanishad. Now, in this 97th mantra of ALAATHA Shanti Prakaranam, Anumatre Vaidharme Jayamane Avipashitaha Asangata Sadanaste Kimutavarnachudhi is a very powerful sloka. Even little Vaidharmya of any sort we maintain, either in the world or in the mind, it leads to the Sangha of the Raga and Dvesha, and that will never allow the Avarana of the Dvaita to have the Bhanga of it. Asangata Sadanasti Kimuta Avaranachyute. When one is in the Sangha of the Dvaita, what is that substratum which is supporting these two Dvaita? That inquiry will never come. Without inquiry, we can't reach to that one truth. And reaching to that one truth is the avarna bhanga. What is avarna there? Not knowing that one truth. So while trying to know that one truth, when we discover that truth which is one without second, that means the avarna ka bhang ho gaya. But that inquiry itself will not come, will not be done when we are in the Dvaita involved. That's called Sangha. So जो संग में है वो ध्यान में एक तत्व को जान नहीं सकता. Therefore, what is that which takes us to the experience of oneself, where the avarnabhanga happens, is the sangarahityam, asangata. And how long the sangha will be there? How can be the sangha removed? There is no second thought, only one thing. What is that? We have to transcend giving value importance to Vaidharmya. And what is the meaning of the giving of the importance to Vaidharmya? It's so simple it is. What is that? The entire world of million of multiplicity, all of that is one alone. And I have to experience that one. In this attitude, the Vaidharmya, though it is perceived with the senses and mind, it is not valued, it is not given importance. And when you are on the seat of meditation, with this Vaidharmya can be easily rejected. Why? Because we are already convinced the entire world is one that I want to experience, that I have to experience, that I need to experience. With that conviction, the Vaidharma importance, when it is not given, then there is no Sangha. When there is no Sangha, then we can try to discover what is that one. And as that oneness is being felt or experienced, we can see the avarna is going away. Avarna is going away. Like as you are washing your face with cold water, is it not? Then the avarana of the laziness of the mind, because of which what to do, what not do is covered, starts going away. Fully face is washed, total avarana is gone, then we become so clear and aware that, oh, today this is what my job, this is where I have to go, this is what I have to do. Dekho? Every day it happens, no? We are in the avarana of the avidya, nidra. When we get up in the morning, what do we do? The avarana bhanga is done. What is the meaning of avarana bhanga? Our identity and our responsibility and our duty are remembered and we involve. But it is a samsara. But the example is given to say about this also, that the entire world is real or other than self, that avarana bhanga starts happening. It's a different experience. It is just like, again, the sun is fully covered in winters with the fog or all that. Some wind came or something happened, slowly that avarana going away. You can see the sun, who was not at all seen, was slowly starts appearing, and you can see the mist is gone, then the clearest sun is seen. The mist of duality, the mist of mindness, the mist of jiva, all goes away. The sun of the self gets revealed. So these are the mantras of Karika, where in every mantra, one complete and one substantial thing the Guru Maharaj is trying to give. One complete thing, one substantial. In this, what is that complete substantial 97 mantra mein? Even little Vaidharmya you entertain, you are in Sangha. When you are in Sangha, there is no Avarana Bhanga. There is no Avarana Bhanga, there is no knowing of reality. Then you are in Samsara. Straight, simple, direct, pakka, complete thing. Therefore, Vaidharmya, we should not give value to any. Vaidharmya means reality to anything other than self. Though self is not discovered. Yet to be. To discover the self, this other than the self we have to reject. Because if other the self than the self is valued, then no one of that other the self also is valued in me. Thus this aham jiva, then the idam jagat itself is avarana. Then how can you do the bhanga of it? It's not. It is like applying the oil. What oil? The vehicle में डाले वाला काला काला oil to wash the cloth. कपड़े धोने के लिए ये गंदा करने वाला ऑयल को तो कोई यूज नहीं करता ना. Already the cloth has the stain of the oil. To remove that, you apply the detergent. Not that we apply the oil only to remove the stains of the cloth. In the same way, to remove the Dvaita, we can't be at the level of Dvaita. Understood? The Vaidharmya is the maintenance of Dvaita, and with that maintenance of Dvaita, how can we remove the Dvaita avarana and reach the Advaita? नहीं होगा ना, the self. That is why वैधर्म्य का किसी भी कीमत पर वैल्यू नहीं करना. व्यवहार में कुछ है, अदर दैट एवरीथिंग इज भगवान. एक साल ऐसा कहते रहना, सर्वम खलु इदम ब्रह्म, सर्वम खलु इदम परमात्मा. इज ओनली प्रैक्टिस. इन द व्यवहार थोड़ा जो काम करना है करो. नेवर कॉम्प्रोमाइज विथ व्यावहारिक धर्म एंड नेवर बी इन द एल्यूसिनेशन दैट आई हैव अंडरस्टूड देयरफॉर आई एम सेइंग एवरीथिंग एज ब्रह्मा. नो, इट्स ओनली बिगिनिंग प्रैक्टिस. All our practices will end only in the direct, intimate, personal, doubtless experience of yes, everything is Brahman and that is me. In this case, by not experiencing, by only saying at the mouth level, we are not cheating anyone other than ourselves. We will not do that. Never ever. Vedanta should be misused only by, or misused only by being intellectually clear about it without practicing and experiencing. उसको हमेशा याद रखना. But keep doing this. Sarvam ekam, sir. Keep on doing that. That anekata wala, too much of thoughts will go away. Yes, the self is one or the whole world is one, but interpreted as many by the senses and mind. This way, keep on saying till it becomes pakka. Then the manyness can be disregarded. Then inquiry on the one can be established. In that inquiry, the one is known, our avarana is happened. This is what is the mantra. If it is not so, if that avipaschit, the avivayaki, even after studying all the shastra, continues his avipaschit, non-understanding or murkata, and allowing the Vaidharmya to take birth. Jayamane is to take birth. He will never have asangata only. He is full of all ragadesha and emotions. How can there be aha varanachuti to that fellow? You know, as long as Duryodhana Adi take the Pandavas as enemies, Avipashti Duryodhana took Pandavas as the enemies, called as Vaidharmya is born. There can never be the Asangata, he will be always in Sangha of Dvesha towards them. There the Sangha is Dvesha. Then how can be the Avarana Chuti even to think that we are all basically Kauravas, we are all basically human beings, we are all the basic, simultaneously staying in this whole universe, we should live together. ये सारा जो आवरण भंग वाला ज्ञान आएगा क्या उसको? Everywhere it is. व्यवहार में भी आध्यात्मिकता. So Vaidharmya I will drop, Sangha I will drop, Avarana Bhanga I will do, and I will experience the Ekameva Advayam Brahma. This is how we have to become clear and remember it and work towards it. That is what is taught now. In the 98 months also we saw the Purapakshi asked a question. So there is no Avarana Chuti to the Dvaitins because they are always in Sangha because they are maintaining the Vaidharmya. Okay. Then that means to the Advaitin there is Avarana Bhanga? Yeah. But Avarana Bhanga is preceded by Avarana, therefore there is Avarana. कहीं ना कभी तो है ना. Then the answer is given. At the Jiva level, we talk about Avarana because we are talking to you at your language. It doesn't mean the Parama Atma, which is one without second, which is all pervading, can be avruta by anything. Therefore, self is never covered. The Jiva is not allowed to have experience of self. He has got the cover of Avarana of Avidya, not Paramatma. So there should be differentiation between this. My eye has a cataract, or my doors are closed, or there are clouds in the space. These are the problem this side. Never ever the sun is hidden, never ever the sun is absent, never ever the sun has gone thanda or black. Sun is always bright, sun is always hot, sun is always shining. There are either clouds are there, or the eyes are closed, or the cataract is there, or the windows are closed. Because of these this side reasons, the sun is not seen. Doesn't mean sun is not existing. Therefore, there is no avarana to the sun. Avarana to me, the jiva. Who he has got is avidya valued in between. I only brought this avarana. I only am maintaining. I am only not knowing what is my essential nature. Through all this process, when you do the avarana bhanga, the self which is ever experienced, ever staying, ever bright, brilliant, shining, is experienced as me. It is praptasya prapti. Okay. Now, so alabdhavarana sarve dharmaha prakriti nirmalaha adau buddhaha tatha muktaha buddhyante iti nayakaha. So these are the four words. Sarve dharmaha. First alabdha avaranaha. Second is prakriti nirmalaha. Third is adau buddhaha. Fourth is adau mukta. Iti nayakaha buddhyante. The experienced people have that guts ability to say that the avarana bhanga is over, though there is no avarana. The two examples that are given are, one is the sun is shining or bright, we say. It is only to say, otherwise we can't actually talk in that language. Sun is not shining or bright. Sun and brightness are not two things, and no brightness has come to the sun from some other source. And there was never a time where the sun has no brightness. But still we say, भगवान सूर्य की कांति, सूर्य अलग उनकी कांति है, वो और कहीं से आई है और कुछ देर रहती है और चली जाती हैं, ऐसा लगता है when you listen this way. But they are such things that Surya with brightness, brilliance, and it is eternal. They are not two things. So to the mountain never moves. Then we say the mountain is standing there. जो stand होता है उसी को mountain कहते हैं. How do you say again mountain doesn't move? So you are using those words in Vyavahara also. In the same way, the Nayakas will talk in this language of avarna removed. It doesn't mean there is an avarna, it is removed of the self. It's a jiva who had avarna removed. In the avarna of the illusion that he is real. That is removed, then he knows he is that always. So the four things are alabdha avaranaha, there is never avarana to us. Then prakriti nirmalaha, the absolute immaculate by nature. Then adav buddhaha, always awakened to its own self. Adav muktaha, there is nothing which can bind it other than it. So tesham avarana chuti na asti iti bravatam sasiddhante apyupagatam tarhi dharmanam avaranam na iti uchyate. Katham alabdha avaranaha alabdham apraptam avaranam avidyadi bandhanam yesham. What is the avarana? Avidya adi bandhana means avidya kama karma ityadi are to the jiva with upadi, not to the paramatma. So avidyadi bandhanam yesham te dharmaha alabdha avaranaha bandhana rahitaha ityarthaha. Therefore, I, the jiva, has got the bandhana of avidya kama karma, but the pure self has not got avidya kama karma. So I have to drop my avidya kama karma bandhana avarana and I have to discover it. Okay. Then what is the status of the discovery? Is this only again? I was in only in an illusion and delusion that I had an avidya and kama karma, but none of them never have bound me. Discovering the itself is jiva becoming one with Paramatma. But that simple thing will only happen after that karma phala is given up. Therefore, karma phala oriented uh, karma given up, karma phala oriented. So the karma causing kamana also dropped to a great extent. Then this truth is revealed. Avidya kama karma is called avarana. Removal of avidya is easy if the kamana is dropped. Removal of the kamana also is easy if the karma is dropped. We are in the karma. Reduce the karma activity, reduce the kamana. Easy for the avidya to be removed. What is the feeling like that when the avidya, kam, karna, hrudaya, granthi or avarana is removed? I was unnecessarily struggling from pillar to the post to discover something. That thing I am already. I am complete, I am infinite. I have become aware of that now. That means avidya is gone. Then I have no thing to gain, etc. Therefore, kamana is gone. then we have to do nothing. That's called karma is gone. So avidya kama karma granthi is an avarana is removed. For me, the jiva. When we stop the karma and the kamana and eliminate the vidya by already existing our essential nature called as vidya. This we have to hold on to this matter, this knowledge, and we have to use this for the contemplation. This way he said. Then second one is what? Prakriti nirmalaha means swabhava shuddhaha. There is nothing to be warded off or washed off in the pure self. It is by nature always such a Shuddha one. There is no Ashuddhi in that because there is no possibility of change in it. Change है तो अशुद्ध होता है. Nor there is a chance of anything to influence it from outside because there is no thing other than it. Therefore, Swabhava Shuddhaha. Then Adav Buddhaha is always said. Adav Buddha, take the example of Surya. Eternally it is awakened, the self is. There is no forgetfulness for the self of itself. That is a peculiarity. Self never forgets itself. And I am that self. And I forget myself. And I take myself as the jiva. इसी को हमें sort out करना है. And one or two things I can give a suggestion. What? Mind, intellect, as long as it is there, world will be there as avarana from the experience of self. Clear? As long as mind, intellect are there, the self is imagined only as not self. Self is not exactly experienced. Therefore, when the mind, intellect are transcended, then the entire world is dissolved, then we experience the self. Clear? Now, the most important question: what is the meaning of mind, intellect dissolution? Is only one. Everything other than self is nothing but assumptions. And self is only experience. All assumptions of mana buddhi, when they are dropped, the ever staying self shines out without any avaran. This is a little tough thing to understand and even more tougher to practice. Millions of assumptions which are projections of mind intellect we are holding on to, which has become a thick cover and layer on the Atma. Therefore, we are not able to have the Anubhava of the Atma. Everything is assumption. Ishvara is an assumption. Jiva is an assumption. Jagat is an assumption. The Dehendriya Manabuddhi are real assumption. I am identified with them is assumption. The world in front of me is wonderful. Everything is assumption, concept, concept, concept. We are only assuming it. Reality is not assumed. Assumptions are not realities. I am good, I am intelligent. It's an assumption. They are all qualities of the Manabuddhi. See, Manabuddhi creates assumptions. Assumptions valued strengthens Manabuddhi. These two together never allow us to discover the self, which is neither mind nor buddhi nor assumptions. Self is not an assumption, it's an experience. Aham Brahmasmi is not a theory. It is not an intellectual understanding or assumption. It is an experience. But all assumptions can't drop. The negative assumptions are replaced by the positive assumptions. Thereafter, the positive assumptions also dropped in the direct experience of the self. By the way, an idea is given. So maintain one thought that everything is thought. And the thought is not self, and self is not the thought. Thought means assumption. This is a very high level of practice. It's not so easy, but you can keep some of you whenever you feel like on the seat of dhyana. Any thought is there, it's an assumption. You don't value it. Let it come and go, come and go. Pehle stop reacting with the thoughts, whether good or bad, whatever. When we do this practice that is only assumption and don't value it, slowly you can see the gush of the thoughts get reduced. Then we develop this Sakshi Bhav. ये साक्षी जो भी हो रहा है दुनिया में साक्षी हूं मैं सो तो जो भी हो रहा है अंदर की दुनिया में Sakshi. After knowing, after dropping the value given by practicing that it is only an assumption, that will be able to maintain the Sakshi Bhava. The moment you focus the Sakshi Bhava on itself, it is such a self evident thing. It doesn't take even a microsecond also. Like open the eye, the world is seen. So too, you turn your attention to the Sakshi, you will know it is pure Shuddha Chaitanya Atma. That much clear it is. That much simple, that much easy it is. So Vedanta, Adhyatmikata is not very difficult and so many lives, etc. ऐसा मत सोच. It's so obvious. It is me, that's it. Some assumptions are there, such things are creating some layers. No, I'm just devaluing all of them. Everything, wife and husband, children, none of them are real. They're all assumptions. Heart in heart maintain. Outside duty karo, उसमें क्या है? I am a teacher. I am talking on Upanishad. सब assumption है. कुछ भी reality नहीं है उसमें. Because of this assumption given reality, the self in me is not hidden. And as long as assumptions go on, the self is always hidden. Okay. Alabdhavarana sarve dharva prakriti nirmalaha. Then adav buddha tatha muktaha. Then, yes, in muktaha means there's nothing to bind it. How can the self be bound by ignorance? Self is consciousness. No, consciousness cannot be bound by ignorance. Self is satta. Satta cannot be made to be asat. Is it not? Therefore, it is eternally mukta. Yasmat nitya shuddha buddha mukta svabhavaha. Therefore, what is the self? Nitya Shuddha, Nitya Buddha, Nitya Mukta. Feel the meaning of these words. Nitya Shuddha is always pure. There is no otherness in it to impurify it. Nitya Buddha, it is ever shining as consciousness. It is never non-aware. Nitya Mukta is never bound by anything. That is the nature of the self. Having said so, yed evam katham tari buddhyante iti uchyate. If it is eternally awakened, then how can you say that when the avarana goes away, then he is awakened to the self? Answer is Nayakaha Swaminaha Samartaha Bodhum. These are the Nayakas, they are the Swamis, they are capable of saying so. Why? Bodha Shaktimat Swabhavaha Ityardaha. ऐसे बोलने का शक्ति परमेश्वर उनको है. Don't just question them. They can say, they will say, that's it. हाउ डू दे से कुछ तो समझाओ ये तो थोड़ा डिक्टेटरशिप हो रहा है नो 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 आई विल गिव एन एग्जांपल यथा नित्य प्रकाश स्वरूप होवे सविता प्रकाश इति उच्यते नेचर ऑफ द सूर्य इज नित्य प्रकाश बट स्टिल यू यूज द सेंटेंस टू से द सन इज शाइनिंग यथा वा नित्य निवृत्तिगतयः निवृत्तगतयः इटर्नली नॉन मूविंग आर द माउंटेन्स शैलाः तथापि नित्यमेव शैला तिष्ठन्ति इति उच्यते तद्वत् we say that the mountain is standing there as if it was not standing earlier. Was there any time where the mountain was moving that we have say here stand the mountain? But we say though it is always standing. You understand the example? We say that sun is bright, though sun is always bright. So too, the self is always Buddha. Still we say it is Buddha or awakened. Buddhyate iti. Don't get carried away by the word and assume that there is a kriya in that it was not so earlier. Through that kriya, now it is achieved. ज्ञान क्रिया के द्वारा परमात्मा का ज्ञान हुआ ऐसा मत समझो परमात्मा हमेशा ज्ञप्ति स्वरूप ओनली देयर इज नो क्रिया इन्वॉल्व बट इट इज सेड लाइक दीज टू एग्जांपल्स लाइक द सन इज शाइनिंग द शाइनिंग इज एन एक्शन coming going walking talking. So there is a kriya of the sun that he is shining. Like that, the sentence is used, which is a absolute bluff only, because it is not that sun is doing something to shine. He is nature, by nature is shining. He is a brightness, brilliance. See how this Upanishad last mantras reject all questions, doubts asked by Purva Pakshi, where he is trying to pull that Dvaita somehow or the other. The last sentence is what now? Ki tishtanti iti uchyate tadvat. Now comes the 99th mantra. What is that? Kim iti mukhye bodhrutve sambhavite tad eva na ishtam. Here finally we are talking always about bodha. Everywhere Vedanta talks about Tattvabodha, Tvabodha, Prabodha, Bodha, Ratnakar. अब तुम बोध को भी तुम रिजेक्ट कर रहे हो. See the final frustration of किमिति मुख्य बोधृत्वे संभाविते. Ultimate goal is to awaken to the self. To that awakening also you are rejecting, saying that awakening भी नहीं होता उसका. And you say it's nitya bodha swarupa. तदेव न इष्टम इति आकांक्षा ज्ञानस्य वित्वदृष्ट्या विषय संबंधे असंभवात् इति आह. See, for a Vidwan, from the Jnana Sambandha, Jnana Drishti, there is no Sambandha to it, to the Vishayas at all. Means there is no Vishayatva in the Paramatma only, that it is to be rejected for to getting awakened. Is it not? Therefore, even the I am awakened to the self or self is awakened to itself, these are only words used at the gross level. But as we become very finer and subtler, we are what we are always. There was nothing done to cover it, nor nothing needed to be discovered it, to discover it. Therefore, even to use the word bodha, where there is a smell of kriya, is also rejected. आत्मबोध कोई क्रिया या कर्म का फल नहीं है. There was no time or place where the self is not awakened to itself. That means what? Any concept of the mind intellect is not allowed to pop up. Then only the self as it is experienced. So see the frustration of the Purvavakshi. Kimiti mukhya bodhutve sambhavite tad eva na ishtam iti ashankya jnanasya vidva drishtya vishay sambandhe asambhavat iti aha. That's why when there is no sambandha of the Atma Jnana with any Vishayas. कोई ना आता है कुछ because of the world manifesting, many worlds coming going, they never touch the Paramatma Tattva. He is always in his own state. Now the very tough shloka it is. Kramatena hi buddhasya jnanam dharmeshu tayinah sarve dharmastatha jnanam naitad buddhena bhashitam. Kramatena hi buddhasya jnanam dharmeshu tayinah sarve dharma tatha jnanam naitad buddhena bhashitam. So, what is the literal meaning of it? Is buddhasya jnanam dharmeshu na kramate. Tainah buddhasya. Some place with tapinah. So, tapinah or tainah, which is buddhasya, jnanam dharmeshu. Here the dharma is not atma. First line dharma is not atma, anatma. Vishaya. So, buddhasya tainah jnanam dharmeshu is equal to vishayeshu na kramate. Means what? The knowledge of the self is not like the knowledge of the anatma, Vishayas. Right? In the Vishaya Jnanam, Triputi is necessary. Jnata, Jnanam, Gneyam. In the Atma Jnanam, Triputi itself is an abstraction. Clear? Therefore, they are not changing or overlapping. The now Atma, the Jnana of the Vishaya. Means that Paddhati by which the Vishaya Jnanam is gained is invalid in the Atma Jnana. So too, the way in which the Atma Jnana is gained is not valid when you have to know the Vishaya Jnana. In the Vishaya Jnana, we have to have the Triputi. I am the Jnata, that is Neyam, this is the Jnana. We saw it, no? Pramata, Prameya, Pramana, Pramiti, Vivahara. In the Vishaya Jnana, they are compulsory. In the Atma Jnana, it is not at all. Therefore, it is not that we are frustrating you by saying that Even the word awakening is not valid there, not to frustrate you, but only to lift you to the understanding of the higher substantial sublime truth. सो परमात्मा को जान नहीं सकते का अर्थ क्या है? Not that you can never get the Paramatma, realize him and get liberated. The meaning of that is परमात्मा को जानने का जरूरत नहीं है. जरूरत नहीं means what? No need of effort. It's self-revealing, self-effort. We are only removing the need of any effort. We are not denying the experience of liberation. Don't take it that way. I am rejecting the word the bodha, not to say that it is impossible to have the bodha. I am rejecting the word bodha is even that bodha kriya mehnat also is not required there. Feel the meaning of this sentence because eternally awakened it is. That's what we said. There was never time, there was never place, there was no situation wherever the self was forgotten or self has become absent. सेल्फ हैज बिकम समथिंग अदर देन द ब्राइटनेस एंड ब्रिलियंस. कभी वही नहीं था कि इसको दोबारा बनाओ. ऑलवेज सो. एंड इन द सेम वे एज वी नो द सेल्फ ड्रॉपिंग त्रिपुटी, in that way you cannot have the knowledge of the jagat. In the jagat triputi is required, in the paramatma triputi is not required. So buddhasya tainah jnanam dharmeshu nakramate. Understood? The way in which the Atma Jnana is gained where the Triputi is Brahmana, nakramate is not valid in that, in the knowledge of the worldliness. So too, the worldly knowledge way, worldly way of worldly knowledge, the paddhati followed to gain worldly knowledge will doesn't work here. Keep that point in the mind. Don't feel that अब एक ही चीज था आत्म बोध, अब बोध भी नहीं करने दे रहे हो. You are making us drop that also. यार जो वस्तु का बोध नहीं हुआ उसका बोध कराते हो ना. जैसे इन हिंदी इट इज सेड, मास्टर जी आपने जो गणित का इस समाहार को बताया उसका बोध नहीं हुआ, अब उसको पुनः मुझे बोध कराइए. देन द मास्टर साहब विल एक्सप्लेन स्टेप बाय स्टेप. क्यों किया? क्योंकि वो बच्चे को बोध नहीं था इसलिए कराया उन्होंने. अब आत्म का बोध नहीं है ऐसा कभी चांस ही नहीं है, वो बोध स्वरूप है. In the child case, he, his intellect, and the knowledge of mass. There are three things. He is not having the knowledge of that mathematics because of lack of something at the intellectual level. The master is equipping his intellect to understand this mathematics. Then he becomes the knowledge or knower or the gainer of the knowledge, or he becomes knowledgeable of that particular maths. So that is in the world. In the self, there is no a jiva who needs a buddhi which sometimes understands something, sometimes doesn't. At the time of non-understanding, some effort is put to make the understanding clear. ये सब नहीं है आत्मा में. The real self has none of these limitations. Okay, so then kramate nahi buddhasya jnanam dharmeshu tainah. Okay, here dharmeshu means to the Vishayas. Then finally, sarve dharmaha. Every, that way, self in everybody is so. Sarve dharmaha tatha jnanam. To nobody's jnana is buddhijanya. Nobody's jnana of the Atmanubhava is not awakened. It is ever awakened. Not awakened, kriya related awakened. अवेकेंड क्रिया से अवेकनिंग नहीं हुआ, वो हमेशा अवेकेंड ही है. नाउ न एतत् बुद्धेन भाषितम. So this is the only place where Buddha and we differ. Buddha got stuck up here. He could not talk about this. And then we can show some sympathy to the Buddha to say that he did not speak out, not that he did not experience. But because he did not speak out, his Siddhanta is rejected by our speaking. Buddha rejected the total world by saying Sarvam Shunyam. And it is 90% sadhana, but 10%. Who is the one who is aware of the Shunyam? He could not talk about that. He talked about the absolute absence. including the self. And he has got his own explanations, logics, etc., which would appear to be appealing there. But simple, a little common sense sort of thing is one. So Shunya cannot be the goal. And by come what may, kuch bhi karo, to substantiate or support or certify that Shunya, somebody should be there or not. शून्य शून्य को तो नहीं जानेगा ना, कुछ तो हो शून्य को जाने वाला. So this is where Buddha could not go to the next step. As regard the total absence of duality is concerned, Buddha has achieved such a great state. But Buddhena etad na bhashitam. The only thing he did not talk about is the presence of Ekamevadvayam Brahma. He rejected the Ekamevadvayam. He says nothing. How can nothing, bhai? Who is saying there is nothing? Shunya, he says. Only when the world is perceived, a corresponding Atma is expressed. When the world is not there, the Atma is not there. Therefore, they are mutually related. Both are nothing. Therefore, what is there is Shunyavada. Vedanta doesn't agree because that is a very pale, very discomforting and non-inspiring sentence when you say Shunya. उसके में मजा थोड़ी आता है शून्य का शब्द सुनकर. Nobody wants to be शून्य. Everybody wants to be full only. Purna, not शून्य. So he said Shunya and Shankara or Vedanta said Purna. He stopped, and after knowing everything as Shunya, only that we can know the Purna. Is it not? And Shunyata should next take us to the level of Purnata. Shunya and Purna means what? Shunya means nothing. All what? Other than the self. From that side, if you say. Shunya means nothing other than the self. From this side, if you say, it is so Purna. Again, that there is nothing other than it. Shunya matlab nothing other than self. That Shunya is used for nothing other than self. From this side, it is Purna. So we touch the Purnata, he only stayed at the Shunyata level. So let us see the huge bhashya of this one. Tak, 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 tak. देखो यस्मात् न हि क्रमते बुद्धस्य means here buddhasya means paramarthadarshinaha jnanam vishayantareshu means dharmeshu. Again I say nahi kramate means permeates, percolates. Buddhasya means paramarthadarshinaha jnanam vishayantareshu means the jnanam gained by the Buddha Paramarthadarshi. That experience of that jnanam, the way of gaining that jnanam, na kramate vishayantareshu dharmeshu. It will not be appealing or valid to the vishayantara dharma, which are other than the self. Dharma samstam savitari iva prabha. Very carefully you have to listen. The Prakasha Swarupa of Paramatma Surya is natural. This naturalness of light of the sun doesn't come to the world. In the world, there a light should be focused on it. Some eyes should be there to see it. Behind the eye, the senses and mind. Then only the Prakasha of the worldly things happen. But Savita ka Prakasha aisa nahi hai. सो और सविता का प्रकाश की तरह ज्ञान द अदर चीज़ों का ज्ञान ऐसा नहीं होता. सविता प्रकाश इज इंडिपेंडेंट बट द नॉलेज ऑफ द वर्ल्ड इज नॉट इंडिपेंडेंट. इट डिपेंड्स ऑन द आउटर लाइट, द सीयर, हिज आईज एंड सो मेनी थिंग्स. सो दिस इज द मीनिंग. ताइनः, व्हाट इज द ताइनः? समवेयर इट इज तापिनः. सिंपल. तायः अस्य अस्ति इति ताई. ही हैज गॉट ताया, देयरफॉर इट्स कॉल्ड ताई. व्हाट इज द ताया? संतानवतः. Santanavata means what? Nirantarasya. Tai means that which is all the time permeating. Santanam is not children. Samyak tanoti. Tanoti means vyapnoti. Sam is always everywhere. So Tai means that which is all pervading everywhere. That means nirantarasya akashakalpasya ityartha. So Tainaha means that self jiva, that jignasu who became jnani now, that person who was earlier baddha, now he has become mukta. That mukta person who has reached to that experience, in that experience, he finds himself to be Tai. Tai means Santana. Santana means Nirantarasya. How? Like Akash. What is the experience of Akasha about itself? It is Santana means Samyak Tanot. Everywhere it is there. And Nirantara. Nirantara has two meanings. One is Antara means interruption. One is the Desha interruption is here it is there, here it is not there. Kala interruption is at this time it is there, other time it is not there. In this way, Desha Antara, Kala Antara Rahita means all Desha, all Kala it is there. It's called Nirantara. In bhajan also use this word, no? Sada Nirantara Hari Gunu Gavo. प्रेम भक्ति से भजन सुनाओ, श्याम प्रभु के शरण में आओ, मन मंदिर में दीप जगाओ, जीवन नैया पार कराओ. सदा निरंतर हरि गुण गाओ. बड़े निरंतर, देश अंतर काल अंतर नहीं होना. मतलब यहाँ किया उधर नहीं किया, देश अब किया तब नहीं किया, काल. So this Tai means what? Santana means what? Nirantara. Example like Akash. The experience of Akasha to itself is, it is Nirantara. Means it is not that it is there and not it is here. And it is not that that time it is there, not there is this time. ये हमेशा है वो आकाश निरंतर. That हमेशा है is called as सम्यक तनोति संताना. That is called as Tai. So that Atmagnani finds himself everywhere, every time. Such a person, for that Tai. Akashakalpasya iti artha. Then another meaning what? Pujavataha or Prajnavataha va. The Tai means he has got the prajna of the experience of the self. Therefore, to you and me who are the sadhakas, bhaktas and jignasu, he is the pujavantaha. He is worthy of being worshipped. To that Tai. Tai means pujavan, means the one who deserves puja and the one who deserves our respect and reverence because of his prajna. And what is the prajna? I am. And where am I? Nirantaram, like Akash. So to such person, Sarve Dharmaha means Atmanaha. Every self in everybody is like that only. Like that Tai, which is all pervading all the time. Then, api tatha jnanavat eva akasha kalpatvatu na kramate kvachidapi arthantare iti arthaha. That means such type of knowledge is not valid in other Vishayas. Vishayajnanam is not like Atmajnanam, Atmajnanam is not like Vishayajnanam. Bas itna. Then, yad adau, now the very interesting, yad adau upanyastam, that which was spoken in the first karika of this fourth prakarana. Yad adau upanyastam. What was said? ज्ञानेन आकाशकल्पेन धर्मान् योगगणोपमान् ज्ञेया भिन्नेन सम्बुद्धः तं वन्दे द्विपदां वरम्. That is how it started. So यदा यत् आदौ उपन्यस्तं ज्ञानेन आकाशकल्पेन इत्यादि तत् इदम् आकाशकल्पस्य तायिनः बुद्धस्य तत् अनन्यत्वात् आकाशकल्पं ज्ञानं न क्रमते क्वचिदपि अर्थान्तरे. Tatha dharma iti artha. Akashamiva achalam. Now, beautiful thing. Oh, I don't know how to explain this one. So, what was promised and started has concluded here. What was started? Jnanena akasha kalpena. Jnanena akasha. What is the meaning of jnanena akasha kalpena? Spoken throughout the karikas, throughout the prakarana, and it is concluded here. What is the knowledge of akasha to itself? The knowledge of Akasha is Nitya Shuddha, Nitya Buddha, Nitya Mukta, Tai. In the Taitva, it is Sada Sarvada. That is called Nirantara. Therefore, now use all these words to the self. What is the experience of self? Self is Nitya, Nitya Shuddha, Nitya Bhukta, Nitya Buddha, Nitya Mukta. It also Sarva Vyapaka like the Akasha with all that Nirantarata everywhere. We use the example of Akasha, and what is the meaning of Akasha? Example is this experience of Akasha for itself. It is Nitya Shuddha, none of the four elements are impurifying it. It is Nitya Buddha, it knows itself. It is Nitya Mukta, because the other things are not impurifying it, how can it be bound? And it is also Tai. What is Tai? Santanavata. What is Santanavata? Nirantara. What Nirantarata? Deshantara, Kalantara, Vastuantara is not there. Is it not? In all solar systems, in all galaxies, how much or big you see, everywhere the space is there. In space, everything is there, yet no thing is disturbing the space. That's called Nirantara. That is the self. And when I identify with that self, then only I am infinite. Any other thing other than that is still finite. That finitude is called as Krupanata. Asparsha yogo vai nama sarva sattva sukho sada. Hmm. That is what I am going to tell you. That's how the mantra started. Hmm. So, having said so, here it says, uh, uh, Kramate kvachidapi arthantare tata dharmaha iti. Therefore, what is the concluding point here? The concluding point is the anubhuti of the Atma Vastu explained to us with comparison or explanation given of the आकाश. So आकाश के अनुभूति से साम्यता देते हुए आत्मा अनुभूति बता आत्मा अनुभूति हुआ नहीं है इसलिए हमको उसका बताना पड़ेगा आकाश इट कैन बी इजीली अंडरस्टूड देयरफॉर वो एग्जांपल आ गया taking the example of Atma, Akasha, explaining the nature, etc. of Akasha, how the Atma Anubhava also is there, is tried to be told by the Karikakara, Bhashakara here. And this para is very interesting, very important. What is that? Ki Akasham Iva, first Akasham Iva, it's like the Akash. What are the Lakshanas of Akasha? Are same to the Atma. What is that first? Achalam. Is it not? Akash kahi hilta hai kya? It cannot because there is no place where it is not. So to the Atma is Achalam. It doesn't move anywhere because there is no place there self is not. That self we have to discover in the cave of our heart on the seat of meditation as an experience. But now we have come out of the heart as an intellect and mind, identified with the body and senses, taking the world as real, and we are only groping in this step of ignorance. Go to the depth of the heart, and there you will discover the self, which is like Akasha. What the first quality? Samyam, both of them. Dono mein similarity. Achala, achala. Immobile, unmoving. It is everywhere there. Second is what? Avikriyam. Listen, each of these words are very important for meditation, for understanding about the self. Vikriya means the modification. Did Akash ever become modified to anything? No. Then what are these four bhutas which are there in the Akasha? Remember, they are not modification of Akasha, they are appearances on the Akash. Why? What's the difference between appearance and modification? If Akasha gets modified into these things, wherever these things are there, there the Akasha should not be there. Second thing is, these things should remain as they are, never ever should go back into the position of Akasha. But ऐसा नहीं है ना. These four things, Jala, Vayu, Agni and Prithvi, are fully permeated by Akasha every moment. Therefore, वो इस तरह के modify नहीं हुआ, लग रहा है. Secondly, these four, a time comes where they dissolve and what remains is Akasha alone. Therefore, what is the meaning of these four bhutas in the Akasha is only it is an appearance and not a modification. That non-modification is called avikriyam. So too, the self is appearing are taken as the upadhis and jivishwar ityadi, but self has never got modified into any of this. क्योंकि modification होता है ना, so then never going back to the atma, then you will never get liberation. कोई वस्तु कहीं रखा है and nobody went there, took it away. Luckily, therefore, when you go there, it is available. But somebody came and took it away, then you will never get it only. In the same way, the self remains as it is always, then only you can recognize and get liberated. If it has got become अविक्रिया, वो बदल गया, तो फिर वो मिलेगा नहीं आपको. जब बदल गया तो you will never get the mukti. Avikriya means non-modification, like the space. Again, I am saying, whether the millions of galaxies are there with suns which are ranging thousands of sizes bigger than the sun itself. Sun is a small speck in the entire cosmos. There are millions of stars, millions, billion, trillion, which are bigger than the sun. And it is endless. Your James telescope may go to search out. It will definitely tell a number according to iska dimag. That doesn't mean that only those many stars are there. Much, much more. In fact, if you go to one of the star nearby, the entire solar system also is not even felt or seen. दिखेगा like that. From here, so many are not seen. What I'm saying? Yet all of those things are nothing but imaginations on the space, not modification of the space. Then who might have imagined it then? Only the Paramatma Narayana, who is Akhilanda Kodi Brahmana Nayaka. For what? Just for his own entertainment. And with every of the star, he may might have put a solar system or such thing. And there also must be, like Bhumi, some of the planets. There also must be the jivas like you and me, maybe with different bodies, different antakarana, different indriyas, different world to perceive. एक ही तरह तो होगा नहीं ना दुनिया. What they talk about aliens nowadays every day. America को aliens का attack. Nothing but some Rishi Muni just want to see the earth and go. That's they are all there. They are not harmful. The most harmful people are there on the earth only in form of us. Why? Because we are destroying each other. So what we are trying to explain is achalam first, second avikriyam, third is niravayavam. Interesting. Do you have any avayava in the akasha? That it is a body and it has got head, nose, ears, mouth, then the trunk, two legs, two hands, stomach, back. Is there any avayava? Like a car has avayavas. The steering, the seats, the tires, the bonnet. How many avayavas are there to the car? A tree has an avayavas. The roots and the trunk and the branches, secondary branches, leaves. Everything is an avayava. But to the akasha, is there any parts? Anything which has parts, cannot remain permanent because when the parts go away, PARTS, that thing gets destroyed. And anything which has got parts has no independent existence. It is for somebody who is other than it. So my body has all parts. All parts intact, then only body remains. If one by one part goes away, the body can never exist. With all the parts intact, the whole body is neither for itself nor for the parts of it. It was somebody other than it called as jiva. Part में ये problem होता है. A body which has parts cannot be independent. It is for somebody who is embodies that body. By the way, you keep it in mind. The akasha is niravayava. So too the atma has no avayavas. Clear? Next one is nityam. Akasha is always there. So too the self is nityam. Then advitiyam. There are no two spaces. So too there are no two selves. It is only one without second. Then asangam. These four which are appearance on the Akasha are not attaching themselves to the Akasha. Akasha is not polluted by them. It is not having Sangha with them. So too the self cannot have any Sangha with not self. Not self is only imagination. The next one is Adrishyam. See, Akasha is so subtle it can't be seen. So too self also is not an object of perception. Then Agrahyam, try to pakdo. यू कांट पकड़ो द आकाश इट्स इंटरेस्टिंग आकाश में ही हाथ हिल रहा है ट्राई करो पकड़ने का यू कांट पकड़ो इन आकाश इट्स सच सटल ग्रास हैंड के नॉट कैच सो टू द माइंड के नॉट कैच द आई के नॉट कैच आकाश a concept is made in the mind because things are there, so it must be supported by something that is conceptualized as akash. Same way with the self, it is agrahyam. Agrahyam is not, it's not inexistent, non-existent. है पकड़ा नहीं जा सकता पकड़ने की जरूरत नहीं है देहेंद्र मनोबुद्धि आदि उपाधिज cannot do the grahanam or catching of the self. So finally asanayadi atitam, you know, the ashana pipasa, the jara mrityu, then shoka moha, which are the diseases of the annamaya pranamaya kosha manomaya, they are not there in the atma. That is called as brahma, that is called atma tattvam. So, in fact, these are the words which we have used for the Nanta Pragnam, Adrushtam, Avyavaharyam, Agrahyam, Alakshanam, Achintyam, Avyapadesham, Ekatma Pratyasaram, Prapanchopamam, Shamtam, Shivam, Advaitam, Chaturtham, Anyantas, Atma Savigneha. The 18 things which are talked about the Atma Vastu, some of them here, Karikakara, Bhashyakara is saying toward the end of the Upanishad, where the self is comparatively told like that of Akasha. Because that the topic with which it started this Prakarana. ज्ञानेन आकाशकल्पेन धर्मान्यो गगनोपमान ज्ञेया बिंदेन संबुद्धः तम वदे द्विपराम्बरम् अस्पर्श योगो वै नाम सर्वसत्व सुखो हि सः अविवादो विवादश्च देशित तम नमाम्यहम् भूतस्य जातमिच्छन्ति वादिन क्वाचिन केशदेव हि अबुद्धस्यापरे किंचित. That is how the shlokas went on. It has to chant it, study lot of time, then we remember. So now, how much ever we understand or not, definitely we know we have to have subtle intellect, apply it patiently. You have to listen to the words, catch the essence of it, connect each word, then feel the meaning. Itna mehnat hota, I know that, but at least these words which are spoken toward the end, which are applicable to the akasha, so to are applicable to the self. And these word meanings will give such a beautiful feeling of unconditionalness, unlimitedness. And that will be our experience when we discover the self of these qualities. That I am no more conditioned, no more limited. The conditioning and limited bhava is jiva bhava. The conditionings and limitations are the dukkha or the samsara. That's why nobody wants to be conditioned, nobody wants to be limited. Everybody wants to be unconditionally, unlimitedly free, which is the nature of the self. That is why everybody is seeking it. But they are seeking it in the conditions of the world, which is impossible. Is it not? Now, nahi drashtuhu drushtehe viparlobha vidyati iti shrutehe. So, we have so many times quoted yesterday also. The vision of the seer never disappears, whether the seen is there or not. Drashtuhu drushtehe viparlobha naha syat. Means what? The drashta's drushti shakti, drushya shakti, druk shakti doesn't depend on the drushya. Either the light of the bulb doesn't depend on the things which it is illuminating. If the things are there, it illuminates them. If they are not there, it continues to illuminate even the absence of them. In the same way, the awareness in me is aware of itself, one thing. Awareness of me itself is aware of everything which is projected on that. And then the awareness never ceases to be awareness if the projected world of multiplicity is not there. That is called as दृष्टा के दृष्टि का लोप कभी नहीं होता. दृष्टा हमेशा दृष्टा के दृक् स्वरूप में रहता ही है, whether the drishyas are there or not. So self is self-evident whether the world is projected in or not, projected or not on it. That's the meaning of this mantra. Now, last line. Jnana Gneya Gnatru Bheda Rahitam Paramartha Tattvam Advayam. Clear? Jnana Gneya Gnatru Bheda Rahitam. The Triputi. The Jnana, Gneya and Gratru. ये भेद नहीं है. That is called Paramartha Tattvam. That is called Advayam. which is the theme of this Upanishad right from the day one. We are studying Etat, this thing, na buddhena bhashitam. Buddha did not speak on that in his philosophy. Means what do you want to say suddenly here, Buddha? Because it's very contemporary, na? Karika Kara, when he wrote the Karikas, a little before of the our Buddha is BC 300 years. Then after a few hundred years only, this our Karikakara, Gaudapada came. And that time it was prevalent Buddha Siddhanta. There he caught this point and said, Buddha did not talk about the Jnatru Jnana Gneya Bheda Rahita Nitya Paramartha Vastu. Okay, that's the only difference between us and Buddha. What is the similarity? Yadyapi, listen, Yadyapi, even though Bahya Artha Nirakaranam, the rejection of any the outer world of multiplicity other than the self. Jnanamatra Kalpana cha Advaya Vastu Samipyam Uktam. Okay, the Bahya Artha Nirakarana is common in both Buddhism and Sanat Advaita Dharmam. But Advaya Vastu Samipyam Uktam. But the Advaya Vastu is not spoken by the Buddha. That's what. He has rejected the world but did not assert about the Advaya Atma Vastu. Idam tu Paramartha Tattvam. Therefore, this Paramartha Tattvam, which is Advaitam, Vedanteshu eva Vigneyam ityartaha. Only a Vedanti in the Vedantic Upanishads only can talk about this one. Even the Buddha Adi, who have up to the level of rejecting the world they reached, still they enter only in the darkness of Shunyata. That's the meaning of Nayetat Buddhena Bhashitam. Now the last mantra. Shastra Samaptau Paramartha Tattva Stutyartham Namaskaraha Uchyate. Last mantra is a Namaskara to the Paramartha Tattva only. Last mantra is Namaskara done to the Paramartha Tattva. What sort of Namaskara is done? Experience itself is Namaskara. The salutation to Paramartha Tattva is not like we salute Rama or Krishna or the Guru or Anjaneya or even no. Anubhava itself is salutation there. Therefore, by experiencing that the self, which is a one without second, I am expressing my respect, reverence to the self. That means what? In a beautiful manner. Don't salute the body of any person. Then salute the self in that person. Is it not? And how do you salute the self in that person? Only by discovering that self and yourself is one. Therefore, what is the highest level of salutation or respect? Experiencing the self. Therefore, when you don't experience the self, you have disrespected the self itself by taking it as the not self. These are all the tongue twisting sentences hidden in that sentence. Okay. First chant the mantra. Durdarshamati gambhiram ajam samyam visharadam buddha padam ananatvam namaskurmo yatha bhalam. Durdarshamati gambhiram ajam samyam visharadam buddha padam ananatvam namaskurmo yatha bhalam. See? Durdarsham. Difficult to have darshan of it. Ati Gambiram, very, very sublime and deep. Ajam Samyam is the nature of that self we were discussing right from the beginning. And Visharadam, there is a purity, there is no otherness in it. Then, Buddha Padam Ananatvam. Discovering that pada which is having no nanatva in that, having discovered it, namaskurmaha, the discovery itself is our namaskara to that, yatha balam, yatha buddhi, yatha shakti. So I am saluting that Paramatma Tattva by discovering my identity with that, which is Ajam, Achalam, Ityadi. Okay, Samyam, Visharadam. And this one is Durdarsham and Ati Gambhira. Because of our Drushti always being extroverted towards the gross, subtle multiplicities. That's why it becomes Durdarsham and Gambhiram. But if one trains oneself to become introverted and very subtle and transcend the duality, it is Sudarsham and Ati simple. Sudarshanam. Okay. Durdarsham means Dukkhena Darsanam Asya iti Durdarsham. Why? Asti na asti iti Chatushkoti Varjitatvat. Because one can see and talk when one falls in this one of the four categories of asti nasti asti nasti nasti nasti. ये चारों डेफिनेशन इसमें नहीं आते, दैट इज वाई इट इज दुर्दर्शम. अतः एव अति गंभीरम, दैट्स वाई इट इज गंभीरम. व्हाट गंभीरता? दुष्प्रवेशम समुद्रवत. Like you can't enter into samudra to swim across. For whom akruta pragnaihi, who have never studied the Vedanta Shastras for years and decades, very deeply, subtly, under the guidance of a qualified teacher who is experienced and who has studied all the Shastras, who knows all the logic to explain. Unless one studies under that such a great guru, it cannot be understood. That's why akruta pragnaihi. Ajam samyam vishardam idruk padam. This is the cell which is ajam samyam visharadam. Ananatvam, there is not even little nanatvam. That means nanatva arjitam. Buddha means having known it, avagamya. Tad bhutaha santaha, having becoming one with that. Namaskurmaha tasmai padaya. We salute to that supreme being, having become one with it. Now, avyavaharyamapi, though it doesn't come in the vyavahara, vyavahara gocharatam apadya yathabalam. We only are imposing the vyavaharata on that for our sake, for the sake of our namaskara to it. Otherwise, the namaskara kriya you can't do to the Atma as if it is something other than. Though it is so, and yet out of respect and tradition, we are just imagining the vyavahara gocharata in the Atma and then doing our namaskara yatha balam yatha shakti. इति श्री गौड़पादीय कारिका सहित मांडूक्य उपनिषदि चतुर्थम अलाथ शांति प्रकरण. Okay, now the three mantras which talk about the Kritagnyata expressed by Bhashyakara to Karikakara with all their aspects will be there, the last three mantras. Tomorrow we will see them conclude. Day after we will be doing our Taittiriya Upanishad, which is very relatively more interesting, more simple one. Because words are familiar and expression is not so gambira like this Mandukya with Karika. Karika himself says Durdarsham ati gambira matam ajam samyam vishardam buddhapadam ananatvam namaskurma ithavam. So दुर्दर्श अति गंभीर अज साम्य वस्तु को जानकर उस जानने को ही नमस्कार के रूप में हम नमस्कार कर रहे हैं. बुद्धापदम अनानात्वम नमस्कुर्मः ताबा. How can you do namaskara? It cannot come to the vyavahara, no? Yes, it doesn't come to vyavahara, but we, for the sake of respect and reverence, bringing it to vyavahara level, doing namaskar and sending back. In this way, from last almost 7, 8, 9 months or even little more, we started our Mandukya Upanishad, right from first Prakaranam, slowly, like a snail walk, we try to do. We have reached today to the conclusion of the last Karika, but 3 Prarthana Shlokas are there. Tomorrow we'll do them and summarize all the Prakaranas or whatever it may be. Kuch bacha hai to day after on 6th little we do. 6th will be total conclusion of this Mandukya for maybe 20 minutes. Then the beginning also of the Taittiriya Upanishad, that being Adi Shankara Jayanti. We didn't imagine it that way. Anyway, the Adi Shankara Jayanti is coming. Why not on that auspicious day? Conclude one Upanishad and start another, only to prove that our study and journey is going on. Thank you. Om Durdarshamadi Gambhiram Ajam Samyam Visharadam Buddhapadam Ananatvam Namaskurmo Ithabalam. Om Alabdhavarana Sarve Dharma Prakriti Nirbalaha Adav Buddha Sada Muktaha Buddhyante Iti Nayakaha Kramatena Buddhasya Jnanam Dharmeshutainaha Sarve Dharma Sada Jnanam Naitad Buddhena Bhashidam Kramatena Buddhasya Jnanam Dharmeshutainaha Sarve Dharma Sada Jnanam Naitad Buddhena Bhashidam. Durdarshamadi Gambhiram Ajam Samyam Visharadam Buddhapadam Ananatvam Namaskurma Ithabalam. Durdarshamati Gambhiram Ajam Samyam Visharadam Buddhapadam Ananatvam Namaskurma Ithabalam. Om Ajamapichani Yogam Brapada Ishwarya Yogat Agat Jagadimattam Brapade Kamhyanekam Vividha Vishaya Dharmagrahi Mugdhe Kshananam Pranatavaya Vihantru Brahmayat Tannatosmi Prajna Vaishaka Veda Kshubita Jalanidher Vedanam Nontarastam भूतान्यालोक्यमज्ञानि अविरतजननग्राहघोरे समुद्रे कारुण्यादुद्धधारामृतविदम् अमरैर्दुर्लभं भूतहेतोः यस्तं पूज्यामि पूज्यं परमगुरुममं पादपातैर्नतोऽस्मि यत्प्रज्ञालोकभासा प्रतीतिमगवत् स्वान्तमोहान्धकारः मज्जोन्मज्ज च घोरेः असकृत् उपजनो धन्वतित्रासने मे यत्पादावाश्रितानां श्रुतिशमविनयप्राप्तिरग्राह्यमोघा तत्पादौ पावनीयौ भवविदौ सर्वभावैर्नमस्ये इति श्री परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्यस्य गोविंद भगवत पूज्यपाद शिष्यस्य श्रीमत् शंकर भगवतः कृतौ माण्डूक्योपनिषदः गौडपादीय कारिकाणां च भाष्ये चतुर्थमलाथ शांति प्रकरणम्। ओम तत्सत् ब्रह्मार्पणमस्तु। थैंक यू। ओम 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 पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ओम शांति शांति शांति। हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः परमर्षिभ्यो नमः परब्रह्मणे नमः श्रुतिमात्रे नमः मण्डूकमहर्षे नमः गौडपादाचार्यवर्याय नमः आद्यशङ्करद्गुरवे नमः अस्मद्गुरुभ्यो नमः तत्सत् ब्रह्मार्पणमस्तु। We salute the entire Guru Parampara, especially Athar Rishi, Manduka Rishi, Gaudapada Rishi, Adi Shankar Rishi, and our Gurudev, whose blessings made it happen. And thank you to each and every one of you who are with so much of patience, who are continuously coming and listening. God Gurudev bless us with the vision of this Advaita Anubhuti. 10 minutes.